Ladies and gentlemen, beloved, look at me. I know what the world looks like right now. The noise, the confusion, the fear that creeps into your heart when you hear the headlines or feel the pressure of the unknown pressing against your chest. But hear me clearly. Don't panic. Heaven is still in control. Oh, how the enemy would love for you to believe that God has abandoned his throne. But that's a lie from the pit. The throne is not empty. The king has not left his post. The angels are not confused. The heavens have not lost direction. You may be shaken, but he is unshakable. You may feel overwhelmed, but he remains sovereign. Let me tell you something, child of God. This is not the time to fall apart. This is the time to look up. And I beg you, don't you dare turn this off. Don't you walk away, because what's coming next is exactly what your spirit has been crying out for. We often panic when we forget who's in charge. We let the wind and the waves steal our peace. But when you remember that the Master is in the boat with you, how can you fear the storm? The world may be in turmoil, but heaven has not issued a state of emergency. The one who measured the oceans in the palm of his hand is not pacing the floor. The one who formed galaxies with his voice is not wringing his hands. He's calm. He's sword. He's in control. You've cried, I know. You've prayed until you had no words left. But while you were weeping, heaven was working. While you were sleeping, heaven was preparing. While you were doubting, heaven was declaring, it is done. You are not alone. He sees you in the midnight hour. He hears your silent sighs. He knows the bills are unpaid. The diagnosis you haven't spoken aloud, the betrayal that broke your heart. And still, he is in control. Don't let the darkness convince you that the light has lost its power. Don't let the delay convince you that the promise is dead. Don't let the shaking convince you that the foundation has crumbled. This is your moment to stand, not in your strength, but in His. When everything else feels unstable, let your soul rest in the unchanging truth. God is still God. His plan is not shaken by the storms of men. His will is not thwarted by worldly chaos. And His promises, they are yes and amen. There are moments in life when everything around you seems to be falling apart. The news blares chaos. The phone rings with bad reports. The finances aren't lining up. People you once trusted have walked away. Plans are canceled. Dreams feel distant, and in the quiet spaces of your soul, panic tries to whisper its lies. This is too much. There's no way out. Nothing makes sense anymore. But it is in that very moment that you must pause, breathe deep, and remember a truth that is greater than the storm you're facing. Heaven is not moved. Heaven is not surprised. Heaven's throne is still occupied. The one who rules above all has not shifted in his authority. When you look through the lens of fear, everything seems out of control. But when you look through the eyes of faith, you begin to see that nothing has caught God off guard. The economy might shake, but heaven's economy doesn't dip. Governments may change, but the government of God never falters. Friends may betray, jobs may vanish, health may weaken, but the sovereignty of God never breaks. He does not vacate his throne when trouble arises. He does not pace nervously through the halls of eternity trying to come up with a plan B. His plan is perfect. His rule is everlasting. His love is unstoppable, and his control is absolute. You see, your world may be full of uncertainties, But heaven is the realm of certainty. Angels are not confused. The spirit is not flustered. The will of God is not postponed. Everything is moving according to divine orchestration, even when it seems invisible to your natural eyes. He is the Alpha and the Omega, not just the God of beginnings, but the God who finishes everything he starts. And even when the path feels crooked and the way is unclear, he is still directing every step. Heaven's sovereignty is not dependent on your feelings. It stands above them, unshaken, unbothered. What you must understand is that God's control does not always look like human control. Human beings equate control with immediate results. We expect that if God is in control, everything will look peaceful, easy, and ordered, but divine control often hides itself in the midst of discomfort. In fact, the very chaos you're facing may be part of the preparation for your next breakthrough. You cannot see the full picture now, but there is a plan in motion that stretches beyond time, beyond space, and beyond your current understanding. Even when Jesus slept in the boat during a storm, the disciples panicked. The waves were crashing, the winds were howling, and their hearts were racing with fear. But Jesus remained asleep. Not because he didn't care, but because he was not threatened by the storm. He knew who he was. He knew his authority. He knew that the one who created the seas could not be drowned by them. And that's the same confidence heaven called you to walk in. When your emotions scream panic, let your spirit whisper peace. When your mind races with doubt, anchor yourself in the truth. God is not worried. The same hands that flung the stars into the sky are holding your life together. The same voice that calmed the sea is speaking peace into your soul right now. He knows the end from the beginning. He has walked through your tomorrow and has already made a way. He's not figuring it out. He's already finished it. So while you may feel shaken, God remains unshaken. While the ground under your feet trembles, the rock beneath you is steady. While your plans may fall apart, God's promises remain intact. Heaven's calendar has not changed. Heaven's strategy has not failed. And heaven's king has not left his throne. You can rest because he reigns. You can breathe again because he's still holding everything together. You can stop panicking. Not because the situation is easy, but because the one in charge is faithful. And his faithfulness is not based on your performance. It is based on his nature. So let the truth of his sovereignty silence the noise of fear. Let the knowledge of his reign overshadow the chaos of the world. Let the certainty of his plan overrule the confusion in your heart. Because no matter what comes against you, no matter how dark the night or how deep the valley, heaven is not shaken. And neither should you be. Fear is one of the enemy's most cunning weapons. It creeps in silently, sometimes unnoticed, like a shadow following you in broad daylight. It clutches your chest, clouds your judgment, and paralyzes your faith. But you must understand this. Fear was never meant to be your inheritance. It is not your portion. It is not your identity. It is not your truth. You were not designed to live in fear. You were created to walk in faith, boldness, and divine confidence. There is a deep difference between being aware of your circumstances and allowing those circumstances to govern your emotions and decisions. Life will present real problems, real challenges, real dangers, but even then, you are not required to surrender your peace. You are not obligated to collapse under pressure. Why? Because you are not alone. You were never meant to fight battles in your own strength. You are a vessel of the living God, and fear cannot reside in a heart filled with his presence. It may knock on your door, but you do not have to let it in. You do not have to entertain it. You do not have to dress it up or accept it as a permanent guest. It has no legal right to stay. There's a powerful truth that we often forget when life becomes overwhelming. God did not give you a spirit of fear. If fear is not from Him, then it must be rejected. What He did give you is power, love, and a sound mind. Power that comes from knowing who you are in Him. Love that is unshakable and casts out all fear. A sound mind that is not swayed by every wave of panic or anxiety. That is your portion. That is your inheritance. That is what belongs to you as a child of the Most High. When fear enters, it often distorts your vision. You stop seeing things as they truly are. You start imagining the worst outcomes. You begin doubting what God has spoken. But faith sees differently. Faith doesn't deny the storm. It simply refuses to believe the storm is greater than the one who walks on water. Faith doesn't pretend everything is perfect. It just knows that even in imperfection, God is still working. Fear magnifies the problem. Faith magnifies the promise. And here's a truth many miss. Fear is a form of worship. Whatever you fear, you are exalting. Whatever you panic about, you are magnifying. When you fear sickness, you give it power. When you fear failure, you give it authority over your actions. But when you choose faith, you shift the atmosphere. You say to your storm, I will not bow to you. I will not surrender my peace to you. I serve a God who is bigger than you, stronger than you, wiser than you, and eternally in control. So many people walk through life with a low-grade anxiety that they've come to accept as normal. But it's not normal. It's not the life you were called to live. You were called to live free, to live fearless, not reckless, but fearless. You were called to stand, not shrink, to trust, not tremble, to rest, not run. Fear may rise, but it does not have to rule. And when fear tries to grip your soul, speak the truth out loud. Fear is not my portion. Say it until your spirit believes it. Say it until the atmosphere around you shifts. Say it until the enemy flees. There is power in your declaration. There is peace in your surrender. There is victory in your trust. God is not intimidated by your fear. He sees you even in your trembling and reaches out with love, not judgment. But He also invites you into a higher way of living, a life where your faith is louder than your fear, a life where your confidence in His promises overrides every doubt, a life where you walk through the valley of the shadow of death and still fear no evil, not because the valley isn't real, but because you know who walks beside you. Fear is a liar. It will tell you that the worst is coming, that you won't survive, that you'll be left alone. But the truth is more powerful than the lie. You are not alone. You are not forsaken. You are not defeated. Even when everything in your natural world says panic, everything in your spirit can say peace, because fear is not your portion. When you begin to live this truth, everything changes. You sleep differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with a grace that confuses the enemy. You become a walking testimony that it is possible to face storms and still smile, to feel the fire and not be burned, to walk through uncertainty and still sing songs of hope, because you know, deep in your bones, that you were never made to panic. You were made to trust. You were made to overcome. You were made to reflect the unshakable, unstoppable, undeniable love of God. So the next time fear comes knocking, let it find no place to rest in you. Let it meet a soul that is anchored, a mind that is guarded, and a heart that is full of faith. Let it hear the quiet but unyielding declaration from your lips, fear is not my portion. In the silence of your struggle, when the night stretched longer than your strength and prayers seem to echo without reply, it's easy to feel like God has stepped away, like you've been forgotten in the crowd, overlooked, pushed to the side. It's tempting to think that maybe your cries haven't reached heaven, that your tears were seen but not important enough to move the hand of God. But let me remind you of a truth that no darkness can ever erase. God has not abandoned you. Not for a moment. Not in your confusion, not in your weariness, not in your deepest heartbreak. Even when you can't feel him, he's closer than your next breath. Even when you don't see the breakthrough, he's working behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet comprehend. He may have given up on you, but he hasn't. You may have walked away in doubt, but he stayed. God is not like people who leave when things get hard. His faithfulness is not fragile. His love does not withdraw when you falter. In fact, when you are at your weakest, that is when he leans in the most. Sometimes it's not the storm that's the hardest part. It's the silence in the middle of it. The moments when you pray with everything you have and heaven seems quiet. But the silence is not absence. God's silence is not his indifference. Just because he's quiet doesn't mean he's distant. Sometimes the teacher is silent during the test, not because they have gone, but because they've already prepared you for what you're walking through. And so it is with your Father. He sees you. He hears every whisper of your heart. And even in the silence, his love is actively surrounding you. You're not forgotten. You're not left behind. Every tear you've cried is collected. Every battle you've fought has been noticed. You may feel overlooked by the world, but you are seen by the King. He knows your name. He knows your pain. He knows the story you're living. Don't let your feelings become your truth. Feelings are real, but they are not always accurate. The truth is greater than what you feel, and the truth is this: God has promised never to leave you nor forsake you. That's not poetic language or wishful thinking. That is a divine vow sealed with blood and proven by resurrection. This word is not fragile. It does not expire in hard times. It stands unshaken through every storm, every fire, every valley. You see, abandonment is a human fear, but it's not a divine characteristic. People leave when they're tired. People walk away when they don't understand. People change their minds. But God doesn't. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. His commitment to you does not fluctuate with your circumstances. Whether you are on the mountain or in the pit, he is there. Whether your faith is strong or shaky, he is present. Whether your heart is praising or breaking, he remains. There's a deeper truth here that many overlook. Sometimes God allows the weight to press in, not to crush you, but to remind you of what you carry. He allows you to walk through the valley, not because he enjoys your struggle, but because he knows what's on the other side. He's not punishing you. He's preparing you, and preparation always feels painful in the process. But you are not being buried, you are being planted. There is growth happening even when you can't see it. There is purpose being developed in the hidden places. God's presence doesn't always feel like fire from heaven. Sometimes it feels like peace that makes no sense. Sometimes it's the strength to take one more step. Sometimes it's the unexpected provision, the timely word, the comfort you feel when you should be falling apart. That's him, quiet but constant, invisible yet intimate, always working, always loving, always near. You are not walking through this alone. And even if everyone else walked away, even if no one else understands, even if the world turns cold, he stays. He walks beside you in every dark hallway. He waits with you in every dark hallway. He waits with you in every sleepless night. His eyes are on you. God has not abandoned you. He hasn't missed a single detail. Not one cry, not one sigh, not one groan has escaped his notice. You may feel like you're at the end, but he sees the beginning that is coming. You may feel broken, but he sees the beauty that will rise from your ashes. Don't interpret your pain as his absence. Let your pain remind you of your dependency, and let your dependency lead you into deep. Because even now, right here, right where you feel forgotten, he is whispering to your soul, I'm still with you. I never left. I never will. One of the hardest things for us to accept in life is the idea of waiting. Waiting can be excruciating. It can make you feel as if you're stuck in place, not moving forward, not advancing, not receiving the answers you've been praying for. It's easy to begin doubting when things don't unfold according to your schedule, and even easier to lose hope when everything seems delayed. But there is a powerful truth that once understood will transform your entire perspective. God's timing is always perfect. The key word here is perfect. His timing isn't just good, it's flawless. It's not delayed or late, it's precisely aligned with his plan for your life. We are bound by time, but he is not. We live in moments and seasons, but he exists in eternity. So when we can't see the full picture, when things aren't moving as quickly as we would like, or when life doesn't seem to make sense, we must trust that God is orchestrating everything according to his divine purpose. You may have dreams that seem far off. You may be asking for breakthroughs that haven't yet arrived. You may have prayed for healing that seems to be taking longer than expected, or for financial provision that hasn't manifested in the way you envisioned. In those moments, doubt can creep in. You begin wondering if God has forgotten about you. He hasn't ignored your request. He's simply working things out in a way that you cannot yet see. God's perfect timing means that everything is unfolding exactly when it needs to. When things are delayed, it isn't because God is absent. It's because he is preparing you for what's ahead. We can't always understand why things take longer than we expect, but we can trust that there is a reason. Maybe you aren't ready for the blessing just yet. Or maybe the blessing isn't ready for you. Maybe the timing isn't right because there are things you need to learn. Or because God is lining up circumstances that will bring about your breakthrough in the most powerful way possible. There is a purpose in the waiting. It's easy to think that waiting is wasted time, but it's not. Waiting can be a season of growth. It's an opportunity to develop patience, to deepen your trust, and to grow in your relationship with God. It's in the waiting that your faith can be strengthened, your character can be refined, and your dependence on God can increase. In fact, sometimes the greatest work God does in our lives happens in the unseen, quiet moments of waiting. These are the moments when we're tempted to give up. But if we persevere, they become the moments where we see the most transformation. We live in a world that values instant gratification. We want what we want now, but God doesn't operate on our timeline. He sees the big picture, and he knows what we need before we even ask. When we trust in his timing, we are acknowledging that he knows better than we do. We're saying that we trust him with the details of our lives, even when it feels like everything is happening too slowly. It's important to understand that God's delay is not a denial. If something hasn't happened yet, it doesn't mean it won't. It simply means that it's not the right time. There are many examples throughout the Bible where God's timing was perfect, even when it seemed impossible. Think of Sarah and Abraham, who waited decades for the promise of a child. It seemed impossible by human standards, but God's timing was perfect, and in the end, Isaac was born just as God had promised. The same holds true for you. If God has given you a promise, you can be assured that he will fulfill it. Just not always in the way you expect or on the timeline you want. In the meantime, while you wait, remember that God is working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. He's at work aligning people, situations, and circumstances in your favor. Trust that he's preparing everything for you. Trust that he's creating the perfect moment for your breakthrough. Trust that when the time is right, everything will fall into place. God knows what's best for you. His timing is flawless because he sees the end from the beginning. While you may be focusing on the immediate, he's seeing the bigger picture. He's working all things together for your good. So when things don't happen according to your plan, rest assured that they are happening according to his. Your job is to trust and wait expectantly. Trust that God is faithful. Trust that he is good. Trust that his timing is not just perfect for you, but it's perfect for the kingdom. It's perfect for the purposes he has designed for you. Sometimes the waiting is the answer. The waiting is where you are prepared for what is to come. It's in those quiet, uncertain moments that you discover how deep your trust in God truly is. It's in the waiting that you're drawn closer to him, and it's in the waiting that you realize that his presence is the greatest gift you could ever receive. So, as you wait, don't waste time worrying about when things will happen. Trust that God's timing is perfect, and in due season everything you've been praying for will come to pass. His plan for you is always better than your own, and when the time is right, he will open the doors that no one can shut. When life presents its greatest challenges, it often feels as though you are walking through them alone. It can feel as though no one truly understands the weight of what you're carrying. You may find yourself isolated with only the quiet hum of your own thoughts for company. But in these moments, the lie that you are alone can be one of the most dangerous and discouraging things you can believe. The truth is you are never alone, not in your struggles, not in your pain, and certainly not in your journey. The world may seem distant, and others may not always have the words to comfort you, but God's presence is a constant. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. And even when your struggle feels personal and unique, you are not isolated in your pain. The fact is that every struggle you face is a shared human experience. Your pain is not yours alone. It is part of the collective experience of humanity. And while this truth doesn't necessarily take away the sting of the difficulty you are enduring, it does bring comfort, because it reminds you that others are walking the same path, even if they are miles away from you. In those moments of silence, when the loneliness feels unbearable, it is important to remind yourself that God is with you, even in the quiet. You may not feel his presence, but he is there, just as he has always been. His commitment to you is unwavering. You may not have the answers to all the why questions in your life, but you can trust that he is walking with you step by step. He is present in your pain, sharing in your burden, and offering his comfort in ways you may not immediately recognize. The feeling of being alone in your struggles can often arise from the sense that you are the only one who has ever experienced such hardship. It's easy to assume that others have it easier, that they don't carry the same weight, that they don't wrestle with the same challenges. But that's a lie. Everyone faces struggles in some form or another. The faces of those around you may be smiling, but you don't know the silent battles they fight. You don't know what's weighing on their hearts, or the burdens they carry behind their closed doors. This realization that you are not alone in your pain is liberating. It means that you can stop thinking of yourself as the only one suffering and start to see your struggles as part of a larger shared experience. And through that understanding, you begin to see that there is hope. If others have walked through similar struggles and emerged stronger, then you can too. Your struggle is not a sign of defeat. It is a chapter in your story. And just like every story, this chapter will pass. When you accept that your struggles are part of the shared human experience, it also becomes easier to find strength in others. We were created for connection. Our struggles, although personal, connect us to others in ways that words cannot fully explain. There is a strength in community. There is healing in the bonds we form through our shared experiences. It is in these moments that we are reminded that we are not just individuals facing our own isolated battles. We are part of a greater whole. And within that whole, we find the strength to press on. Even more than that, God promises to be our refuge in times of trouble. He is the ultimate comforter, the one who walks beside us when no one else can. He is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. When you feel like you're walking through life alone, remember that you are walking with Him. You are never without His help. He is the one who holds you in the darkest times and whispers hope when your heart is heavy. And He is the one who equips you to carry on when you feel like you have nothing left to give. This promise of His constant presence is not just for your struggle today. It is a guarantee for every moment of your life. The same God who was with you in the past when you overcame challenges before is with you now. And when you look ahead, you can trust that He will always be there, holding you up, guiding you through the storm, and helping you navigate whatever comes next. But being aware of God's presence doesn't mean you won't experience moments of doubt or fear. It's normal to question, to wonder if the pain will ever end, or to struggle to see the way forward. But even in those moments of questioning, know this: your doubts do not push God away. He remains, loving you through every thought, every feeling, and every part of your journey. Your struggle, your pain, your fear, they don't separate you from Him. They draw you closer to Him. In the end, the truth you need to hold on to is that you are never truly alone. Even when no one else understands, God does. And even when others may fail to show up, He will be there, just as He always has been, offering the strength you need to keep going. You are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, those who have walked before you and those who walk beside you. You are not alone in your struggles. You are part of a larger story, a story that is filled with hope, redemption, and the assurance that God is with you every step of the way. So when you face your struggles, remember this truth: you are never alone. And with each challenge you encounter, God is not only walking with you, but He is also using that struggle to shape you, to grow you, and to bring you closer to the purpose He has designed for your life. In the midst of life's most challenging moments, it can be all too easy to lose sight of hope. When we face overwhelming obstacles, whether they are personal struggles, health crises, or emotional turmoil, hope can sometimes seem like a distant, unreachable dream. It can feel as though the darkness will never lift and the weight of despair is too heavy to bear. But even in the darkest of times, it is crucial to hold on to hope. Hope is not just a feeling. It is a lifeline that sustains us through the hardest of times. Hope is what gives us the strength to take one more step, even when we feel like giving up. It is the light at the end of the tunnel, the belief that no matter how difficult the journey may be, there is always something better waiting on the other side. Hope isn't just about the promise of future success. It's about the belief that every challenge we face serves a purpose. It's the understanding that in every hardship, there is an opportunity for growth, transformation, and renewal. When you feel like life is overwhelming and your dreams are out of reach, remember that hope is still within you. Hope is an inner strength that resides deep in your heart, and it is the very thing that keeps you moving forward when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Without hope, life loses its meaning. It becomes a monotonous cycle of struggle, without the promise of anything greater on the horizon. But when hope is present, it changes everything. It shifts your perspective and fills you with the energy and determination to press on. One of the most powerful things about hope is that it is never bound by circumstances. It does not depend on the state of your current situation or the difficulties you are facing. Even when life seems impossible, hope can give you the courage to believe that things will get better. It is the inner voice that whispers, "This is not the end." There is more to your story. Hope empowers you to take action even when the path is unclear. It encourages you to keep moving, to keep trusting, and to keep believing that things will improve. It is in our moments of hopelessness that we must remember to lean into God's promises. God's word is full of hope and encouragement. When we feel like we are walking alone, He reminds us that He is always with us, guiding us and giving us the strength to endure. His promises are unshakable, and His love is steadfast. There is never a time when God's hope is not available to us. He does not promise that life will always be easy, but He does promise that we will never face it alone. With Him by our side, hope is always within our reach. When we choose to place our hope in God, we are not just hoping for things to improve in the future. We are also trusting that the process of waiting, of enduring, and of persevering is working for our good. Hope is not passive, it is active. It involves waiting with anticipation, trusting that God is at work even when we cannot see the results. It means surrendering our fears and doubts to Him, knowing that He is in control. It means walking forward in faith, even when the road ahead is uncertain. Hope is also about perspective. When everything seems bleak, it's easy to focus solely on the negative aspects of life, the things that are going wrong, the pain we're experiencing, the things that seem out of our control. But hope shifts that perspective. It helps us see the good even in the midst of the bad. It helps us recognize the opportunities that are hidden within challenges. Hope is the belief that the worst moment in your life is not the end of your story. It is simply a part of the journey. In fact, some of the greatest growth comes from the most difficult experiences. When you feel like giving up, remember that the struggles you are facing are not permanent. They are only temporary, and they are shaping you into the person you are meant to become. In the darkest times, it is often where we find our deepest strength. It's through the fire that we are refined and purified. Hope enables us to endure these fires with the belief that on the other side, we will emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Hope also plays a crucial role in our relationships. When we lose hope in others, it becomes difficult to trust, to love, and to move forward. But hope reminds us that people can change. It reminds us that even in relationships that seem broken, there is always a chance for healing and restoration. By holding on to hope, we allow ourselves the opportunity to forgive, to reconcile, and to rebuild what may have been lost. Hope is the glue that holds relationships together, whether with family, friends, or even in our relationship with God. Even when everything seems uncertain and the storms of life feel overwhelming, hold on to hope. The storm will pass, the sun will shine again, and you will emerge from this season with a deeper understanding of your own strength and a greater appreciation for the hope that has carried you through. Life is full of unexpected twists, but with hope you can navigate them all. The Bible tells us that hope does not disappoint. It is a secure and steadfast anchor for our souls. And in every season of life, no matter how difficult, it is a gift that we must cherish. Hope is not just for the good times. It's for the bad times too. It is in our darkest moments that hope shines the brightest. So no matter what you are facing right now, no matter how impossible your situation may seem, remember this: there is always hope. It may not come in the way you expect, but it is there. And when you hold on to hope, you are holding on to the promise that better days are ahead. With God, there is always a future filled with hope. Trust in that promise and let it guide you through every storm. So rise up, child of God. Take off the fear. Wipe your tears and lift your eyes. Heaven is not panicking, and neither should you. The storm may be loud, but your Savior is loud. The valley may be deep, but his presence is deeper. The night may be long, but the morning is certain. Let peace rule in your heart again. Let faith take the place of fear, because heaven is still, and it always will be.